Thank you for checking in today. Today we're going to be looking at Am I Not a Person lesson. This is about slavery, and basically what we should look at are the Quakers, religious groups, people that morally were against the idea of slavery. If we remember the Quakers, they were the ones in the beginning of our colonization of this continent that they were the ones that believed in equal rights for Indians, women, African Americans, everybody. I mean, they did not think that anybody had a right to lord over anybody else. And so it's only fitting and right that the Quakers, these types of groups, would lead the charge against slavery. And they would be the first abolitionists. In fact, even before the American Revolution, they were against slavery. So this was a long time in the making. We should know these words right here. Abolitionists are people who worked to end slavery, and emancipation is the freeing from bondage. So the way that we can remember this is that the abolitionist is the person who wants to end slavery, and emancipation is the act of trying to free people. Okay, so they believed that it was morally wrong, and they would set up things like the Underground Railroad. Now, the Underground Railroad is not a physical railroad. It's not something that they built a train underground or anything like that. It was a series of safe houses and hiding places for runaway slaves, and they tried to get them as far north as possible and even to places like Canada. They'd use secret codes, disguises, they'd get messages to families so that they can try to get to freedom. All right. Now, these are the three figures that we want to remember when it comes to abolitionism. Harriet Tubman is the most famous conductor of the Underground Railroad. When she started out, when she was a teen, she suffered a nearly fatal blow to the head while she was a slave. And then when she got married, she was afraid that she'd be sold to the Deep South. So, because if you were a slave, you had no rights. In fact, they would change the marriage vows from till death do you part, till death to, or distance do you part, because they could be sold and sent off to another plantation far away, and they had no choice but to go. So she ran away instead of facing that prospect, and then dedicated her life to freeing as many slaves as possible, and that's why she got heavily involved in the Underground Railroad. She was admired by other abolitionists like John Brown, who we'll get into later, and that's why she's so famous, and people want her like on the $100 bill or $20 bill or something. And I think she deserves definitely a lot of recognition like that because of her bravery and what she was able to accomplish to try to get people out of slavery. William Lloyd Garrison is the next person, and he is very much against slavery. In fact, he starts up a newspaper called The Liberator, which was the whole goal was to emancipate the slaves. They want to get the message out and convince as many people that slavery is a wrong idea and that we should do something about it. And so he was a leading voice in trying to get rid of slavery. Okay, and then our last figure is Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass is just a huge person. I mean, we talk about Harriet Tubman and what she did and her bravery and everything, but Frederick Douglass did more with his words, his speaking, probably than anybody when it comes to this subject. He was an escaped slave and was so intelligent and so well spoken that people could not believe that he lived his life as a slave. They couldn't believe that he wasn't classically educated, that he wasn't sent to the best schools or anything. He was very smart and was one of the best speakers of all time. He wrote for the North Star, and of course he wanted to make sure that slavery was ended, but he was also a person that believed in equal rights for everyone, not just for African Americans, trying to get rid of slavery or anything like that, but he wanted equal rights for everybody, for women, African Americans, anybody. He was very much in that Quaker attitude that everybody should be free and that everybody should have a equal standing in society as everybody else. So he was a great voice for this. So in conclusion, now, just to sum up, abolitionists, people who worked to end slavery. Emancipation is the act of freeing from bondage. Harriet Tubman was one of the great conductors of the Underground Railroad. She was an escaped slave that helped a lot of other people escape slavery. William Lloyd Garrison started a newspaper, The Liberator, to try to get the word out to end slavery, and Frederick Douglass was one of the greatest speakers of all time, and he dedicated himself to the ending of slavery and the promotion of equal rights. Thanks for tuning in. This was an easy one, and I'll see you next time.